All right, everyone. Well, welcome once again to Produce Spotlight on this Tuesday in May. And in May, we are focusing all on salsa, okay? And in particular today, I'm going to be talking about a pineapple salsa, as well as some fun things to go along with it, all right? So if you've been hanging out with us this month, you already know that May is National Salsa Month. We love that we can celebrate this all year long. Not all year long. Oh my, I wish we could celebrate it all year long. Maybe I just do personally. But all month long, we are celebrating salsa, and we thought it was a great fit for our produce spotlight class because we can make all sorts of fun and unique produce centric salsas. Okay. So today I am going to be making, as I just mentioned, a pineapple salsa, but don't have any fear. All right, the salsa celebration continues next week. On Tuesday, Jenna will be making a jicama grapefruit salsa. So once again, the goal this month was to really highlight some different produce items that you might not typically see in a salsa. So if you missed any of them, head back to our YouTube channel so you can check those out. All right. Now, this is the recipe that we are going to be making today. Doesn't it look lovely? It is a zesty herb and citrus chicken with pineapple salsa. Guys, I love everything about this recipe. Number one, the main focus, pineapple, right? But we have a really nice chicken from Purdue to pair with it, as well as some couscous, which I feel like couscous is a really underrated grain. It can be a nice swap for rice sometimes if you want something different. I did include the link to the recipe here on the right, whether you are with us from Giant or Martin. You can check that out there when we send this presentation in our follow-up email later, okay? Like I mentioned, though, what's going to make this recipe even more cool and easier today is that we're going to be using the Purdue shortcuts. So it's going to be a really nice touch to this recipe and a time saver too. All right. So we are going to get into cooking that in a moment. But before we do, this is what we are looking at in terms of our recipe. Okay. On the left, we have the ingredients for our salsa, which we will be making a bit later. And then here on the right, we have a recipe for the chicken. Okay. Now, if you were using raw chicken, this would, of course, take a bit longer to cook. Not the case today. Okay, this is going to be a nice, really quick and easy lunchtime meal, easy weeknight dinner, what have you, because of that Purdue chicken. We started off with a bit of a marinade. Okay, even though it is already pre-cooked, we can still give it that flavor, that flair with this fun, zesty herb and citrus marinade. Okay, I have already put the chicken in the marinade, so we're a step ahead here. But just so you know, it's a combination of mint, garlic, a bit of lime juice, and olive oil. Okay, I have it in a Ziploc bag over here, and we're going to go ahead and start cooking that so that way it can cook while I go on and on and on about my love for pineapple. Okay, so here is the directions slide. Once again, this will be in that presentation in the follow-up email, but you can also access it through the link that was a couple slides before this. So at this time, I'm going to stop sharing this screen, turn off this camera, and we are going to go over to our ingredients, okay? I showed a snapshot of Purdue on the slide, but this is what the bag looks like in real life. Lots of fun, different flavors. I do believe that Jenna already did her Feature Friday on the Purdue shortcuts. So go back to check out that recording if you want to learn more specifically. But the great thing about it, like I said, it's already pre-cooked, so we're not worried about that. It's ready to go, but we're still going to season it up a bit, warm it up in our pan to add to our nice little couscous bowl today. All right. So let me grab the chicken. As you can see, I already have it in that zesty herby marinade that I just mentioned with the mint, the lime juice, the olive oil. It's been soaking in here, ready to go. So let me take you over here to our pan. All right. I am going to get this heated up and we are going to add 1 tablespoon. There's my camera. 1 tablespoon of olive oil in the pan. So we have a little bit of good fat down there. Our chicken's not going to stick. And we already have olive oil in the marinade as well. So all of those flavors join in together here. All right. So a tablespoon in there. And once again, all we have to do is make sure that we're just heating up this chicken, all right? And heating it up is really going to allow the flavors of that marinade to absorb and soak into the chicken a little bit better. It's really going to help those flavors sing. All right, so we got that in there. Let me move this about. I just have my skillet on medium and we're just going to cook this for about 4 to 5 minutes until the chicken is warmed through. Look at all those beautiful pieces of mint in there. I can smell the lime. The lime is playing really well with that olive oil too. Very good flavor combination there, okay? So this is heating up. Like I said, we're going to keep an eye on this about 4 to 5 minutes while we now switch gears back to chatting all about pineapple, okay? So let me bring my screen back up here for you guys. Okay, so right now you should be seeing my screen. If I can get a couple thumbs up, perfect. All right, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the time. But if for some reason I get a little carried away here with the pineapple, send some sort of crazy emoji to be like, Shayna, don't forget the chicken, all right? So let's chat about the pineapple. Isn't it cute? Like pineapples are just cute, right? Because they just look fun and happy and the leaves look like a hair or a crown some people think of. Food is just fun like that, all right? So speaking of fun, here are some fun facts about pineapples. The first one is my favorite because I don't know why I've always had it in my head that pineapples grow on trees. Maybe because they have like a tropical vibe and I think about like coconuts growing on trees or something like that. I don't know. But they don't, guys. They grow on a plant and just one pineapple per plant. Kind of wild, okay? Look up the pictures of them, but pretty cool. In terms of the name, pineapples are not related to anything piney like a pine cone, okay? They have nothing to do with pine cones from a scientific or botanical standpoint. They simply just look like pine cones, all right? Whenever they were discovered, people thought, hey, this kind of looks like a pine cone. So we're going to call it a pineapple, even though it has nothing to do with apples either. Really, from a botanical standpoint, pineapples are actually berries. Also pretty wild. All right, you guys are learning all sorts of craziness today. So they are actually a collection of berries that have fused together. So similar to like a raspberry or a blackberry, those types of things are called multiple fruits. And all of those little buds come together and form the pineapple. So when you look at a pineapple from the outside, here, let's go back a slide. When you look from the outside of the pineapple where all the little pricklies are, you can kind of see that like they're clusters, and those are clusters of what they call quote unquote berries that have fused together. So pretty neat there, okay? I can finally hear my chicken sizzling over here. That's okay. We might go over a little bit for the 5 minutes just to make sure that it is really heated through, all right? But it is sizzling now. What else do we got here about the pineapple? All right, how do you pick a perfect one? This is important, guys, okay, for a couple of reasons. The big reason is that bottom point, okay? A pineapple will not ripen on the counter, all right? So once you get one, that's what you get, all right? I'm gonna really not pronounce this well, but that concept means that they are non-climacteric, No, that doesn't sound right, but you see the spelling there, okay? But they don't ripen on the counter. They might change color, okay? But that doesn't mean that they are getting any more sweet from a ripening standpoint. So that's just something to note, all right, that they are not going to further ripe. Whatever they taste like when you pick it up is what it's going to taste like when you cut it up, all right? So that means whenever we are actually looking for a pineapple, we want it to have that nice golden yellow tone to it. But we don't want it to be super, super yellow because then that means it can be overripe. So with just a nice golden yellow hue, we want the leaves to be nice and bright and green. Those leaves are also called the crown. Another good way to do it would be to then give a little tug on those leaves at the top. If a leaf easily pops off, then that means it is definitely a good one and good to go. Should have a bit of a fruity aroma to it, and then also heavy for its size. All right, that means that it's going to be nice and juicy. So, how do we store it then? A whole pineapple put together, not cut open, can be okay on the counter for about 3 to 5 days. Once again, the color might change a little bit, but we're not getting more ripe. If we're past that point, then we can put it in the fridge for about 1 week. If you cook the pineapple or you buy some of our pre-cut pineapple, which is what I'm using today for our salsa, you can keep that in an airtight container for 7 days. You can also freeze pineapple. It is one of those fruits that freezes really well. You can store that later for, making salsa again, putting it into a smoothie, which is one way I love pineapple. I love a good tropical type smoothie. I would pick that over doing like a berry smoothie any day. Okay. Just giving my chicken a little stir here. Just a moment. It's smelling good. It's looking good. I will pan over to a picture of that momentarily. All right, now, of course, here we are in the dietitian class. Why are we eating pineapple? Why is it important? What are those nutrition benefits? As most fruits do, pineapple is going to be a good source of vitamin C. But pineapple, a unique characteristic about it is that it has bromelain. Okay, and this may help aid in the digestion of certain meats. So, for example, if you ever go to like a Brazilian restaurant where they're just serving a ton of meat, you will often find that they serve it alongside a pineapple because bromelain can potentially help with the digestion of that meat. So much so that pineapple is usually used as like a meat tenderizer and things of that nature too, even before you eat it. Um, Other studies have shown that pineapple may really help with the reduction of acute inflammation. Okay, we talk about chronic inflammation a lot in our classes in the way of like diabetes and heart disease and whatnot. But there's a lot of aspects of pineapple with that bromelain that could potentially be helpful for acute inflammation. So, acute inflammation is like if we get a cut on our finger and it gets itchy or it gets hot, like that's inflammation and it's acute, like it's kind of a temporary thing. So they have found that pineapple can really potentially help with that inflammation specifically after surgery. More studies going on about that, but I thought that was a neat one to point out. All right. So, what about pineapple products in our store? What do we have? Let me just check my chicken here real quick. We're still looking good. All right. Everything's all right over there. What do we have in the way of our stores with pineapple? So, of course, we have fresh pineapple that you can pick yourself. The recipe today actually calls to use in the bottom left corner here this chunk pineapple that's canned. I love canned pineapple. It is a huge pantry staple for me. I use it all the time. But for something like a salsa, I just love a good fresh pineapple too. So I am using a fresh pineapple today. I'm using the top left that was already pre-cut for us in the stores. I just chopped it up a little bit more finely into bite-sized pieces, but you can't go wrong with either, okay? Also down there on the bottom right, you'll see that we pre-cut it not only in chunks, but also in rings. So we are coming up to grilling season, burgers, all of that stuff. So the pineapple slices can be really nice for that. And then top right corner there, I love these pineapple tidbits as well. These are a great one for the lunchbox, whether it's for you, your grandkid, your own lunch, whatever it might be. These are packed in their natural juices, so we don't have that added sugar component to it. Really great item there. And you know what all of these things can be used on? My absolute favorite, which is pineapple pizza. You can disagree with me. I can see it now. You're throwing your hands in the air, being like, no, I don't like it. I love it. Pineapple pizza is the best, okay, in my book for sure. But lots of great products in the way of that. This is the Pink Glow pineapple. If you haven't tried it, it's a fun one. Okay, they're grown in Costa Rica. They are going to be a sweeter note of a pineapple compared to your golden ones. They have that pretty pink hue to them. They're used often in drinks like cocktails, mocktails, all of that. So sometimes we do carry these in our fresh cut produce along the wall there. If you don't want to buy an actual whole one, you can try it by doing it that way too. So just a fun little different way to try pineapple. And then, of course, don't forget our frozen section. We have lots of fun pineapple products there, whether it's just our brand of chunked pineapple or the bottom right. I have tried the Fruit Riot for you guys, the pineapple specifically in class before. And last week, or not last week, 2 weeks ago in Coffee Chat, Jenna tried the Grape Fruit Riot. They're essentially just the frozen fruit with that sour coating on there, not a whole lot of added sugar, so they can be a great alternative to candy and things of that nature, especially this summer. If you're looking for a cool treat, that's a fun one. Or the top two can be great ones too. On the left there, we have True Fruit Pina Colada. I've tried True Fruit berries before, but not the pineapple. But I'm going to now that I see this because this looks like a lovely combination, as well as the infamous Dole Whips over there on the right. Okay, so lots of good treats to help you cool down over the summer in the way of pineapple. Now, I told you guys I was going to ramble for a good while about my love of pineapple. We should get back to the recipe here. So this is just once again a reminder of what we're making and the links to them so you can access them later. Okay, so going to stop sharing my screen here, stop my video here, and we will go back over to our ingredients. Okay, so my chicken is looking good. It is nice and herby over here. I'm going to go ahead and just turn it on low so we can keep it warm while we make our salsa. Okay, so panning back over here. In my bowl already, I have that nice fresh pineapple. Like I said, I bought the pre-cut pineapple from our stores and then just chop those chunks down a little bit smaller. You wouldn't have to if you don't want to, but for something like a salsa, I like to make it bite-sized pieces. So that is there. Now to that, the recipe calls for both diced tomatoes and diced red onions. You guys have been hanging out with me for a while. You know I don't like to dice either. So I love to get the ones that are pre-chopped for us in our stores. These are also on sale right now. I believe 2 for $5. Prices might be a bit different where you are, but now's the time to pick them up. These freeze really well too. So maybe, you buy one, you don't use it all, put these onions in the freezer. So good time to buy them and try them out for this salsa or save for later use. I like when I make salsa just to eyeball things, okay? So I am just going to put about a good portion of this tomato into our bowl over here. I think the recipe calls for about a cup, so I might use most of this, to be honest. Give that a stir. We might add more in later, but now I'll go ahead and move this over. We have our tomato in there. All right. Now let's go ahead. Just that red tomato. Look how much that made the pineapple pop already. Then to get the red onion in, aka purple onion. All right. You guys know I love purple foods. Put that in there. I believe the recipe calls for about 1/4 of a cup. So we'll just eyeball that. Give that a stir. All right, it's looking good. We might add a little bit more in there. Guys, this chicken is feeling amazing. All right, we're good. Now let's do some greenery. Okay, we have some cilantro here, which is a typical herb for salsas. We also have some mint because remember we put mint into that chicken, so we're going to make that shine through here with our pineapple too. We have a lime, which the recipe doesn't call for lime, but I love lime in a salsa, so I'm going to add a bit then. If you were with me a while ago, we chatted about limes in a produce spotlight and how they can be different colors, right? This you can see here is a nice dark green lime, but then you also find limes next to these guys that are a little bit lighter in yellow color. If they are lighter in yellow color, that's a sweeter lime. They're better for desserts. Whereas this dark greener color is going to be more tart. Okay, so it's going to add that nice acidic tartness to our salsa, which I think will play well against the sweetness of the pineapple. And we have the jalapeno here, which we're going to work with first. Recipe calls for a whole jalapeno. This is a big one. That would be quite a bit of spice for me. So I am just going to do a little sliver here. You can see I've avoided those seeds in there too. But hey, if you're a spicy kind of person and you want that in your salsa, then by all means, have at it with more of the jalapeno, okay? Going to get my other knife here to chop this up a bit more. And we will add that in then with our salsa, okay? Get that in there. Now let's add our cilantro and mint. I believe it's about 1/4 cup of each. Once again, those are just suggestions. It's however much or little you would like in your salsa, okay? Put that in. We might add some more then. We'll see here in a bit. Let's chop up this mint. Okay. I've made a lot of salsa in my day, and I'm trying to think if I've ever put mint in my salsa. I'm not sure, but I think it's a fun little play on that, okay? Let's go ahead and cut this lime open too. Do a bit of that in there just to brighten it up. All right, gonna move this to the side. Bring this in here. And we'll give this a stir. Oh, it's looking lovely, okay? This is gonna be so beautiful on our bowl. If you have extras, save it for later with some chips. If you are all about making salsas and, want to have some more ideas of how to use them, yesterday I did a fun media segment out in Altoona about burgers. May is National Burger Month, and one of the ideas was to put salsa on your burger. So we will include the link to that segment in the follow-up recipe. If you're looking for some more ideas with the salsa, definitely check that out, especially if you are a burger fan, okay? So this is looking good. Let me move that over. Let's move these onions out of the way, and we will start building our bowl, okay? So based on our bowl, we're gonna add some grains in here, like I said, couscous, okay? This is the couscous I'm using today. It's a tri-colored pearl couscous from Bob's Red Mill. Let me go ahead and grab that and we'll put that here on the bottom. I've already pre-cooked it. Okay, you cook it similar to rice, just in water that you boil. And let me just fluff this up here a minute. I had it cooking and then it sat just to keep it warm on the stove. So there we go, a little better there. So let's go ahead and put that in. You can see that tri-color. We have the white, the green, the orange in there. I'm not going to add it all right? Just want to get a nice little base on the bottom. Okay, spread that out a bit. Looks good. You could do brown rice, you could do orzo, just something fun and different to try the couscous, okay? Now let's go ahead and get our chicken in there. Okay, guys, my hands are clean. I'm using my fingers to get in here and plate this nicely. Let's go. There we go. Okay. Get that all tucked in. All right, get a couple more pieces, that nice greenery over there. Oh, this piece looks nice. Okay. All right, that's there like that. Oh, turn that one. Perfect. Okay, now let's put our salsa on here to really liven it up, brighten it up. Ooh, there we go. Looking good. I'm going to kind of throw it around the back and top it off with a little bit more. Okay. There we have it, guys. Let's put this lime in there so that way you can add more lime if you want to. There we go. Ta-da! There we have our zesty herb and citrus chicken with pineapple salsa. Looks good. I'm ready for lunch. It's a little chilly out, so this gives us those warm tropical vibes, yeah? All right, everyone. Well, let me bring my camera back here. It was so great hanging out with everybody today. I hope that you enjoyed class. Give this recipe a go. Let us know if you do. Be on the lookout for that follow-up email later. But otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. And don't forget, Jenna will be back next week to finish out salsa month and doing that jicama and grapefruit salsa. So lots of fun things on the way. All right. Bye, guys.